Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are literally putting our cognitive habits under the microscope to look at the true mechanics of mental endurance. You know that feeling when you're completely drained by the middle of the afternoon? Like staring blankly at a spreadsheet, kind of hoping it just magically formats itself? Yeah, we all know exactly what that mental fatigue feels like. But what if the way we try to fix that fatigue is fundamentally flawed? What if the breaks you're taking are actually keeping you stuck at a plateau? Well, today we are going to dissect a tiny but incredibly powerful piece of text that totally flips the script on how we manage our mental energy. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is a question for you. Are you treating your mind like an elite athlete? Seriously, think about it. Most of us push our brains for 8, 10, maybe even 12 hours a day, solving problems and analyzing data. But when we start to feel the burn, what do? We push through it, or maybe we take a half-hearted pause while we're still checking emails on our phones. We treat our minds like machines that should just run endlessly. I want you to hold on to this question as we look at our source material, because it's going to challenge everything about how we view the simple act of taking a break. So here is the exact text we're dissecting today. Take a break, redirect, and come back. Recovery is important for raising your resilience threshold, just like training is important for athletes. That's it, just two simple sentences. But do not let that brevity fool you. Hidden within these couple of lines is a massive paradigm shift. It completely redefines what a break is, what recovery actually does, and how we should be structuring our workloads. We're going to break this down to uncover the incredible framework resting just beneath the surface. Now, what's really interesting about this is Section 1, the resilience threshold. Before we can talk about how to recover, we got to understand what exactly we're recovering. Our source introduces a highly specific term here, the resilience threshold. Think of it as a dynamic mental capacity. It's like a doorway or a limit, the maximum amount of stress or cognitive load you can handle before your performance just starts to tank. Now, the natural assumption most of us make is that our resilience is a static trait, right? Like you either have a lot of grit or you don't. But this text tells us something entirely different. It implies that this threshold is dynamic, it moves, and most importantly, it requires active recovery to manipulate. Let's zoom in entirely on this one word, raising. This right here is the eureka moment. Recovery is important for raising your resilience threshold. Why is that so absolutely crucial? Because the ultimate goal of resting isn't just to scrape by and survive your day. It's not just about getting back to baseline so you can endure another hour. The goal of recovery is to actively increase your total capacity. You are resting so that tomorrow your threshold is higher than it was today. You are actively building a larger mental battery. And this brilliantly illustrates Section 2, the athlete analogy. You see, the source material doesn't just leave us with a dry definition. It gives us this brilliant comparative framework to understand the why behind all of this. Think about how an elite athlete trains. An Olympic weightlifter doesn't just lift weights continuously for 10 hours straight. I mean, no way, that would totally destroy their muscles. The physical stress and rest cycle involves applying intense strain to the muscle and then stepping away. The actual growth, the raising of their physical thresholds, happens during the recovery. And our text is telling us that mental recovery operates on this exact same biological logic. Just like training is important for athletes. Let's highlight this specific phrase because it completely reframes the concept of a break. In modern work culture, stepping away from your desk is often viewed as slacking off, or kind of like a sign of weakness. But if we apply this athlete analogy, taking a break transforms into an essential active training requirement. Gulping down coffee while angrily typing on Slack, yeah, that is not recovery. If an athlete skips recovery, they get injured. If we skip mental breaks, our threshold drops and we completely burn out. Resting isn't the opposite of working. It's the vital second half of the training cycle. Let's move along and see how this builds into Section 3, the three-step recovery strategy. We just covered the what and the why. So now we're transitioning into the highly actionable how. Step 1, take a break. Step 2, redirect. Step 3, come back. Notice how these are three active chronological commands. The text doesn't just say, hey, relax. It gives you a strict three-part formula. If you want to raise that resilience threshold we talked about earlier, you absolutely have to execute all three of these steps in order. Let's isolate each one. Step 1, take a break. I'm actually going to take a dramatic pause right here. Did you feel that? That sudden stop? That is what a real break requires. It's the fundamental necessity of entirely stopping your current task. It literally means putting down the cognitive weight you are lifting. If you're an athlete, you can't recover while you're still holding the barbell. Mentally, you cannot begin the recovery cycle if you are still passively engaging with the stressor. You must deliberately and cleanly sever the effort.
So the crucial point is step 2, redirect. Honestly, this is the step almost everyone misses. The text specifically commands us to redirect. Why? Because true recovery isn't just stopping. It requires actively shifting your focus elsewhere. If you put down a work project, but you just sit there ruminating, worrying, and stressing about it, or you're mentally tweaking your spreadsheet while you're in the shower, your mental muscles are still under tension. You haven't taken a break at all. To truly initiate recovery, you consciously have to point your brain in a new direction. You have to change the channel entirely.
And finally, step 3, come back. I absolutely love the energy of this final step. It reminds us that the entire purpose of the break and the redirect isn't just to escape our responsibilities. It is to return stronger. The text links this perfectly. Take a break, redirect, and come back. You stepped away, you let the mental muscle recover, and now you re-engage with the task. But here's the real magic. Because you executed the recovery like an elite athlete, you aren't coming back at the same level. You are coming back with a newly raised resilience threshold. So let's synthesize everything we've learned from this deep microscopic analysis into one cohesive practical framework. Here is your new training cycle. 1. Pause the current effort. Put down the barbell. 2. Shift the mental focus. Redirect your thoughts so the cognitive muscle can actually heal. And 3. Return with a raised capacity. Come back to the task stronger, sharper, and with a higher threshold than you had before. By following the exact sequence laid out in our source text, you are no longer just surviving your day, you are actively conditioning your mind. Which leaves us with this final, vital question. The next time you feel that mental fatigue setting in, I want you to ask yourself, are you just stopping, or are you actively recovering to raise your threshold? Remember, your mind is capable of incredible endurance, provided you give it the elite training cycle it actually deserves. Take a break, redirect, and come back stronger. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.